Hey everyone, it's Noel from the Enduro Bureau. You may remember us from such podcasts as the Enduro Bureau podcast. It's been a little bit. We were just looking back and it's been actually 5 weeks, which is really, or 6 weeks since the last one. I feel terribly embarrassed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I felt like a couple days went by, though, as far as how much faster it felt.
Yeah. We have all been busy. That is for sure. But you know what? We got to do better. But hey, we're back. We're going to get this shit show started again. We are all set. So I'm here as always with my partners in crime, Courtney Schmalley. Hello, Courtney.
Hello, gang. Welcome
What up,
back.
G?
It's good to be back.
What up with you and your giblets?
No riblets.
Riblets. Sorry. Just before we started recording, Jared was poking Courtney in her riblets, and then I thought it would have been funnier if it was giblets, and Courtney didn't know what a giblet was. So there we go.
Then I was informed that I had my neck wrapped.
Jared, what's up with you, J-Rod?
Just trying to tread water.
Yeah.
I took swimming lessons up until I was like 5, so not very good at it. But
do you know what color badge you received? You topped out at?
Mine was 3.
That's not a color.
Not the color, but it was level 3.
I don't know.
We took.
I'm so old. You guys might have had letters and numbers, and I had colors. I don't know.
Yeah, I can't remember, but I can't float, so I just bailed. I said I'm not good at this game, so I'm done.
You couldn't float. But I feel like that was from a lack of effort or too much effort. One or the other. Try soft.
Still to this day, if I jump in a pool, I just sink to the bottom. I don't know how to become buoyant.
That's a terrible metaphor for life.
I specifically went to college to learn fluid engineering so I could calculate buoyancy and try to solve this problem, and I still don't know how to do it. Like, I know buoyancy by physics and calculations, but I don't know how to become more buoyant besides those little water wing things.
Well, you're way smarter than me, it sounds like. So
I try to be.
Yeah. Well, it's not a high bar, man.
Okay, sidetrack again. I was we're just in that sprint mode as far as life goes, trying to get the series from weekend to weekend, and then in between the weeks, working full time to recoup the costs of putting on these races and staying afloat. Yeah. And a small sliver of that was trying to continue being a professional racer, which is kind of at the lower end of efforts, unfortunately, but it's still there. We can still shred from time to time, but that's it.
Yeah. Well, I've witnessed you shredding this year, and
I've had moments.
Your shredding's pretty good.
It's not bad. Not enough to beat our talent pool that's been coming to these races.
Well, no kidding. I think ultimately you're gonna, I think you're gonna find a little more time and progress a little more and
get off the 450 and back onto a 350. I might even have to go back to 2 strokes with the amount of training I'm doing these days, but we'll get there.
No, man. I don't know. I'm not. Yeah. I mean, I don't have a lot of skin in the game, but from standing at the side of the track, I really like a 4-stroke because it doesn't pierce my brain quite as much.
Yes, the zinging.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. It sounds like 350s work good. I know I built Phil's up real nice for him, and he's shredding on it.
Mr. Shaney, Monsieur LaPhil. Well, we will get into all of that for sure. So yeah, we're calling this episode Mind the Gap because, there's been a giant gap in the podcast, but like I said, we're back on it and back at it. So prepare yourselves for regular podcasting okayishness. So
it's going to be great.
So, I mean, touching base, I've been busy too. Just trying to, get this Enduro Bureau thing going. think I'm on the right track, so that's good. The last time we did this, I just got back from the Grinding Stone Hard Enduro premier round of the US Hard Enduro Series, which was sick. That was a big trip to Arizona and back, a drive through the snow and the grossness. So I was glad to survive it. It was amazing, though. Great race. Really great race. And beautiful area down in Page, Arizona. And then, yeah, like you guys have been busy putting your race series together, and then I was going to races. So I think after that, I went to your guys' first round in Brooks, Alberta, which was amazing, super great. You guys, when we'll talk about the challenges you guys faced with the weather there, and then the weather challenges you faced at this last round, this last weekend.
Yeah.
Leading up to it. Yeah.
Yeah. Insanity. Yeah, so I went to that, and then while I was there, I got the opportunity to go to the Hoosier GNCC, which was sick. I'm going to thank the Dupuis family, Janny and Kevin Dupuis, parents of Hayden Dupuis, who is a really talented young moto racer and is, one of the really good young talents at GNCC. So got an opportunity to go down with them, travel with them, and then drove back across from Crawfordsville, Indiana to Calgary. So that was like a 27-hour drive. So that was good. So definitely been getting my driving in this year. And more of that to come, I'm sure. And then I
gotta say, your efforts are phenomenal for a media platform. I've yet to see like all the different races, like the up close in person, and then the quick highlights, and then the actual reports afterwards from all the different events across like the continent at this point. So I got to give you a shout out for it's looking awesome and it's great qual.
Oh, well, I am actually mightily embarrassed, and I appreciate that a lot. It's it's an effort. This year is year one, so I'm really trying to give myself some grace, time, and period to kind of really get into the swing of things, and be firing on all cylinders by the time I go to Spain for ISDE with Team Canada in October, which frankly I can't wait for. So yeah, I mean, that's briefly what I've been up to. And then, I went to your first round, then I went to the BFD Moto Spring Super Series here in Calgary. Checked out a round of that. It was amazing. Good to get back to the track and see what's going on and see what's up. And get a sense of the track before the big Triple Crown Moto National that's coming up at the beginning of June. And then it was what else? Oh, I went to the AMSA off-road race. So the first round of the provincial cross country championship series, I guess. Oops, just kicked my mic because I'm a loser. I'm all class. And then it was back to your guys' race, which your last round this last weekend, which was frankly amazing. Like, I have never been to a race venue like that. And, in the last year I've been to some cool spots for sure, but yeah, nothing like that. Like just being literally at the foot of the Rocky Mountains, like right at the bottom of a mountain was insane. And some of the views of the course, I wish, looking back at some of the video and the photos, I wish, I got a little bit of that captured, but man, I don't know that I did it. I don't know if you can do it justice without actually setting up a dedicated photo shoot.
Yeah.
I think even Tristan Hart, who was there and won the thing, what did he say in his post? Like, it was just like incredible venue, and it's world class. I think in my story I said this to me is like one of the greatest, most beautiful race venues in the world.
Yeah, for sure. And and you got to be there to witness it in person. Like when we're setting up during the week, every time we turn and face west, you're just like, you lose your conversation that you had going because you're just like, whoa, is that real?
Yeah.
And just to be clear, it's not just face west. It's like face basically from south to north. Like it's just a panorama of the Rocky Mountains like in your face.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
Yeah, I mean, and it's private land, right? So this is like a rare opportunity. I think people were talking about like the last time they raced there was quite a while ago. I mean, you guys raced there last year, sorry.
Yeah.
But
Before that.
before that, it's been a while since
like 10 years.
Yeah. I mean, and I don't know, maybe right now is a good time for you guys to shout out the family.
Yeah, big shout out to Clint and Leanna Revere, and even their kids like Ben and Tyler. They put a lot of time and effort into helping us like remulch and just build the track up, and even take the grader and head out on the grass track to smoothing out all those potholes and everything. They definitely put on a lot of burnt a lot of fuel in their machinery getting that set up, and we really couldn't have been more stoked for them to help us out. And
I mean, it was just such a cool weekend. And I mean, not many people were there. Not as many people, obviously, there on Saturday for the kids' races. I got down there Saturday afternoon, and it was cool. Like, kind of got confirmation from Tristan that he was going to be there, I think on like the Thursday. Yeah. And then,
did you hear how he heard about it and wanted to come along? He just kind of,
no,
I was surprised. I don't know. I was asking.
No.
I didn't talk to him how he'd heard about it, and I'm assuming maybe through Kevin or
Phil or.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. We'll have to, I mean, quite possibly through Kevin, because I know that Tristan and the Dupuis are definitely pretty close. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, a good question. I'll try and find out. Yeah. But yeah, I got there and it was just like, it was just stunning. Like, sunny, like the light starting to like turn golden because the sun was starting to get, close to the mountaintop. And it was so cool because just like walking around and, as Lexi Pichot would say, like walking around, slapping high fives and just, getting pretty stoked about being there. I mean, I was excited before the event. And then when I got there, like so excited. For people who don't know, I guess this is pretty deep South Alberta. If you look on the map, you'll find the town of Pincher Creek, and you'll see Waterton National Park, which is right at the south end, sort of south middle of, middle west of the province of Alberta, right on the border with the US. And it's kind of halfway between Waterton and Pincher Creek. So, I mean, I've been down there before many times, but, I don't get down there enough. Yeah. So I don't know, like, why don't we talk about, I mean, you guys have been so busy. I've been off doing kind of cool stuff, and you guys have been like doing cool stuff, but in a really hard work kind of way.
Yeah.
So, it was a hectic start to your guys' race series. Round one was supposed to be this one, south of Pincher Creek, the Revere Revival. And you guys were down there setting up. And what was the date? This would have been like April 15th, 15-ish?
13, 14?
Yeah.
How can I not even remember?
Because it's been like a year.
It feels like it, but it was like, 13th, 14th of April. Or no, was it? Yeah, because the 20th, 21st was the spring series. So it was the 13th, 14th of April.
So like, I'll just very briefly set the stage. Courtney and Jared, for their series, they'll go to whatever the venue is. They typically go there on like the Sunday or Monday before, and then they're there for the whole week, getting ready for the race, staking out the tests, taping, doing all the things you need to do. So, you guys headed down to the Pincher Creek area back in mid-April. And tell us what went on.
So that would have been about that April 8th, the week before, obviously. So we set up a full week before, headed out there, and the whole weekend before the week of race week, we had Kevin Barrett. He was out there all weekend and a few extra days with us pounding in steaks, and it was like plus 24, 25.
Oh, like enough right. I forgot how hot it was. That's right.
It was so hot.
I got a farmer's tan and a neck burn like you wouldn't believe in 2 days.
And did we end up finding any ticks that time?
No,
surprisingly, because the year before it was like we have this hill area that we called Tick Hill because it was my first tick encounter, and oh my gosh, that was not good. I was freaking out a little bit. But yeah, seriously, they're gross little creatures only because they have Lyme's disease. Well, not all of them, but some of them.
Yeah.
And anyways, so we're setting up course. Everything was going awesome. And we had looked at the forecast, but I think where that location is for the Reviere's property is its own country on its own because we were watching the Pectin plant weather and
Yeah.
Pincher Creek weather. Like everything surrounding it was not calling for this type of weather that was approaching. And come Tuesday night before race weekend, we started getting some snow. And I'm like, is this the start of the storm? I wasn't sure, but little did we know, we're like, okay, we'll go to bed. Maybe it won't last long. And then we wake up Wednesday morning to legit, I'm not even kidding, 1.5 feet of snow. And we were like honestly trapped. We didn't know what to do because we like woke up at 6 a.m. I like opened the blinds in the trailer. I'm like, Jared, I'm freaking out. Are you freaking out? Because this wasn't good for us. So we literally had to make the executive decision and just strategize on what was happening. We're like, okay, there's no way that the temperatures will get warm enough to melt these conditions. So we instantly decided to run out to.
It wasn't instant.
Well, it was pretty darn quick. We
No.
had to make some decisions pretty quick.
No, we probably sat out there for almost 2 days, and we're like, we had the staking done,
Yeah.
and it was
Oh, yeah,
Wednesday.
right.
You had a lot of the taping done too, didn't you?
Oh, in the trees we
just some
did.
enduro sections in the
Yeah.
trees,
Yeah.
but
Okay. Yeah.
it was Tuesday snowing, like all day, and Wednesday overnight we were hoping it would stop, and when there's that much snow out there, that's why we went out early, was to make sure we could get all of our stuff done in advance. And then Kevin was there to help, so we did go out a couple days early. We got it all done, and Tuesday it starts snowing, and we're like, wow, this is insane, and it never stops. So Tuesday night we roll into town
To Pincher Creek.
and we're like, oh, might as well go get some more supplies. And we walked around Walmart and just burnt some time, and Pincher is like 25 kilometers, say, maybe a bit more. It's 25 minutes to get there. And at that point, there's probably like a solid foot of snow accumulation at our trailer. Maybe not quite, but it's getting close. And we drive to Pincher to burn some time and get some supplies. And in the town, the golf course is like green. Like you could have went and golfed that day, and you're like
Wearing
you look back
shorts.
at the cloud covering just the corner of the property, and you're like, what is going on? Like, how is this even possible? So it gave us a little bit of hope. We're like, oh yeah, okay, so maybe this will just circle around, and by tomorrow morning we'll wake up and the sun will be out and give us some chance to melt. And then we go back, and Wednesday or Tuesday night we go to sleep, and then we wake up Wednesday morning, and it's like you open the blinds and it's still dumping snow, and it dumps snow until it never stopped. And so at that point we're like, okay, we got to make a call. It's early enough in the week, we could probably go to our backup location in Brooks. We looked at the forecast there. It just finished raining there, so by like 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, we finished. We only have a certain amount of stakes. Like we have 2,000 or 3,000 stakes ish. Generally, I don't know. We'll have to count one day exactly, but it's somewhere between those numbers. So we went and collected what we could on the closest parts of the course.
And when you say what you could, that's based on where you could actually physically get to because of the snow.
Exactly. Yeah. So like all the snow,
knee deep snow.
We just didn't want to drive our side by side around to collect everything all over the place. Plus, we just didn't have time. Like to take stakes down for two of us would have took
a full day.
It would have been a full day or day and a half in the snow. So we collected about maybe 300 stakes that were just on the
moto track area,
the moto and enduro track area, and loaded up what we could. And then by Wednesday night, we were
let's not forget about how we had to get out of the area.
Yeah, like that. And our funny thing, like we literally just bought this trailer. This is the first time we ever used it. and truck, our whole unit, and to get out of the property. As you know, Noel, it's a gravel road, but when you put a foot of snow on it, Clint actually had to get his grader out and like grader us a path out of the property to the, and so like
up
brand
over
new
the
truck,
hill, out of the
everything. So he graded all the way to where their property line ends for that to their gate.
Yeah,
and I was like all four wheel spinning, trying to keep the trailer on the road. Like it's just dipping into the ditches because you couldn't see where the road was. So it was so sketchy. And eventually we got out, made our way to Brooks by Wednesday night.
Yeah, because you left the trailer and went straight to Brooks, and then I went to Medicine Hat to go pick up all the steaks. That shout out to Industrial Backhoe Services in Medicine Hat, our steak sponsor. They had delivered and left some out at Southland Power Sports, and I went and picked those up and head back to Brooks. And Jared had already been starting everything, and the shenanigans started.
I just remember, I think we talked. I think you guys messaged me. I messaged you like, "Hey, how's it going?" And you were like, "It's going balls," kind of thing. And I think we did talk on the phone, and it was. I think I was just sitting there like going like, "Oh my God, like, how do you put together an enduro race in like
2 days,
2-3.5 days?"
Yeah,
2 days.
We started Wednesday evening. Like I was by myself at the course. I set up like the podium and started. I can't even remember what I
think that's what we got done.
Yeah, just like we're like in the mode of do not stop moving, because like we only had a certain amount of time.
You knew what was coming, right? Like you knew this was going to be the grind of grinds.
Yeah, exactly. Where we got that set up, and then we hammered a course in on Thursday, and the saving grace to that, and shout out to the Brooks Motorcycle Club. Like we called them. I was like already driving pretty much, and I called our contacts there. I was like, "Hey, anyway, we can have a race in 2 days at your guys' property."
But you know what? They were unreal support. Like they had their whole crew, the whole club. They're like, "Yeah, let's do it." They got everyone out there. They were all fully for it, and just so stoked to help us. I was like, they all made us feel so much like family and at home, and they just wanted to help. And they're like, we're all like racing no matter what. And that was the coolest vibe, is to see everyone just come together and help us make this happen in literally 2 days.
Yeah, you had more people show up, right? Like,
for sure.
beyond the club. I mean, it is, as I was watching what was going on and messaging with you guys and chatting with you like a couple of times on the phone, I was just like, wow, like this is one of these like it takes a village moments.
For sure. Like the Cuthbertson family was out there on Thursday, the Roberts, and everybody was like all hands on deck. And we
everyone.
We had enough time to probably, like, if we had to, we could have set up 2 tests, but we didn't have enough steaks. Like we only had a limited supply. Like we had, and then Shane went and got some steaks from the Outliers course, which was about an hour away. So
Red Bull Outliers, for those who hopefully are listening, probably know about it, but FIM World Hard Enduro Championship Series venue.
Yeah. So we did a little borrowing from them, and it was cool. Like it took a whole community to get the thing on track, and we got the course built. And on, I think it was Friday morning or Saturday morning. No, Friday morning, we woke up in Brooks with like a good centimeter of snow, and we're like, uh-oh.
But that was amazing, because that made for the most epic conditions. It was perfect Saturday racing for those guys.
Yeah. So I was there all day Saturday, and it was like the dirt was great. There were some wet spots on the course, of course. Obviously, there were some wet spots on the course. But I think on Saturday you guys routed people by that anyway. And then I mean it was awesome. Like, I showed up. Yeah, so you guys built one mega course. It was amazing. Mm-hmm. And then you ran it one way for cross test and one way for enduro test.
completely changed the whole course, just
Yeah.
running it the opposite way. I'm like, wow, it's so crazy how it can be such a different feel just running it backwards when already lines have been formed one way. It just changes everything.
Yeah,
What?
it's really cool.
Oh, yeah. One question I had is last year you incorporated the motocross track. This year you didn't. Was that just a factor of like how late you kind of came to the venue and they needed to keep it
Well,
Yeah.
open? Because it's early
it
season here. Like it's the beginning of the season.
so
Yeah.
it was actually their opening weekend for the track. So all of the club members, it was
Yeah.
they wanted to keep that open for that, and then
Yeah.
which was worked out really well because it utilized all their track members coming to the track to ride the track, obviously, and then
Yeah.
they saw what we were doing out there, and then we recouped some of their local track riders to the race on Sunday. So that was really neat.
That's super
And
cool.
then anyone who wanted to get some practice in on the track before the race on Sunday for the adult classes, or even Saturday, they could on Friday they could just do a day pass to the track and get some seat time out there for some training and warming up.
Yeah, that's right. And the track did seem to be getting used quite a bit on Saturday
Yeah.
for sure. Sunday, I was kind of, and again, you guys were hit by some insane weather. It's just been like for the first two rounds,
Oh,
you guys have lived it. So Sunday morning, I stayed over in Brooks Saturday night
yeah.
at the Travel Lodge. Not nearly as nice as the Ramada in Pincher Creek. But whatever. It was clean. It was great. It was fine. And got up in the morning. And we knew like it was like they were forecasting some big winds and it was breezy on Saturday. It was pretty windy.
Yeah.
And then wake up Sunday morning and it was like a freaking hurricane wind. It was
Tornado,
nuts.
mini tornado.
Yeah. Like, and it's nuts. Like I'll put some video back up of, like what the wind was doing. It doesn't do it justice. It never does. But like
No.
I was literally I remember the first in the morning, the sighting lap. Everyone was going through kind of like the enduro cross area, the way you kind of weaved around there and up and over there's a massive, like, I guess, what would you call it? Like just the big wooden structure.
The teepee? The
Yeah.
teepee.
Yeah, I guess.
It's like
It's
the
just
roof of a house.
yeah, it's like, and a really big roof. And so I was standing up at the top of that on a container that helps support it. And I was trying to film it. And like, even with image stabilization, like I could barely stand up and like the camera's like swinging around all day long. I would try to like, I'd be trying to shoot video and the wind would grab the camera and like yank it. And I
Yeah.
was like,
That's
this
so
is nuts.
funny.
And so, yeah, you guys wake up and I get there and like, you guys are going nuts because like pretty much every inch of tape that you put out there is gone,
Destroyed.
It
destroyed.
was. I know there's a really funny video. This makes me laugh every time because Stan knew, the president of the motorcycle club at Brooks. He was like videotaping where they were, and then Skippy's like holding down their tent, and he's videoing, and everything's blowing around. He's like, even the cook shack is blowing over, and it was so funny. And the cook shack is like where my dad was cooking all the food. And
Yeah.
I was like,
It was
my
nuts.
poor dad. Oh, it was so funny.
It was insane. I was excited because I just got this drone appeared in my life. And,
Yeah.
like I wanted to fly it. I got to fly it a little bit on Saturday. I don't know what the hell I was doing, but,
Did
I
it
had
crash?
nope. No, I crashed it down in Pincher though. Flew it into a tree.
Oh,
That was
Oh.
all right. It was fine. Just picked it up, dusted it off, and put it back up.
yeah.
But yeah, there was like no chance I was going to fly it on that day. It would have been in Medicine Hat, like an hour and a half
Yeah.
away to the
It would've
west,
been gone.
southwest. Like it would have migrated with the geese. I don't know, but yeah, it was insanely windy. But I mean, it happened, and again, like people were just coming together and like running out there, like working on the tape all day long. Like as I was walking around, I was trying to like, I was focusing more on the front end of the race than obviously everybody. And once kind of like, the experts in intermediates gone by, I'd be like, putting my, just trying to like get down and like tie tape together and do whatever, right? It was nuts, but it was an amazing course. Like, and it really worked out. One of the cool things is that you got really great pro fields for both rounds 1 and 2. And, like Shelby Turner, who's like, the boss lady of Canadian off-road, she turned up at round 1 and round 2. And I remember she was when I did a little stand up with her after the race and just talking to her, she was like, this course was amazing, and like you guys just kind of, put it together last minute. And she was just like, even running it front and back, it was a totally different course. Like it felt different.
Yeah, it takes a lot of, and I'd say this is the one thing that probably the only thing I'm good at this in this business is putting together a course. And Courtney runs the entire show way better than I do, but we really focus on course, like making a good course. It's in our head. Like for me, I'll think about it for like 3 weeks in advance, and I'll have Google Maps open, and I'll have it like piecing it together in my head,
dropping pins.
I do. I drop pins. I was like, okay, in here, and we'll go through here, here, and it's so funny. Like it's really good, and I think that just comes with having 6 days. I just that's however many 6 times 6. That's like 36 different tests of across multiple countries
continents
that you just constantly think about. And it's funny, like when we're setting the tests up, I'm like, oh, Courtney, like this section here, like we go up and around. It's just like that time in France, like that one section, that one corner. And I'm like, if we do this in this corner, like it's just a combination of all those experiences put together. And that's one thing we'll keep focusing on. And I think that makes a big difference with how stoked people are with making sure that the course is awesome. And I don't think there's ever been any course complaints per se on sections that we've put in that are like just aren't fun. It's all fun.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm certainly, my job is not to blow sunshine up your asses, and
please do.
like
rainbows,
ready,
yeah,
puppy dog breath and unicorn farts. But like the course in Brooks, never mind the courses last year, so just this season, the course in Brooks, the grass track out there was mental. And like I looked at that, and what you were saying about 6 days and stuff, like that makes sense, because I looked at that grass track and I compare it to like some of the enduro GP tracks I've seen and some of the ISDE tracks like I've seen, like watching back stuff, and I'm like, that was right in there. Like that grass track in Brooks, like it's such a huge open area that they have this like quarter section of land or whatever it is, and
so cool.
It's amazing. That grass track was sick. And it was just, honestly, it was so windy. Like I just didn't get out there enough because it's so exposed and like so much dirt flying around from the bikes. I was like, I'm either going to go blind or I'm going to like wreck a camera or something. So I was trying to stay near like trees.
Yeah.
It was nice that Jared was actually able to use one of the tractors to, would you call plow or grate?
Yeah, just it was
till.
Till.
No, we didn't even till it. It was just it was a big blade behind the tractor, hydraulic blade with a float.
Yep.
And the track had it there, and we got to like that grass track has been there for a very long time. Like Dave French I believe he built like a ton of that enduro stuff, so it's got his signature in there. And then we were able to widen it out a little bit, and it's unreal.
Is that available to ride for people like just during the season? So you just pay whatever the gate fee is at the Brooks Motocross Club or whatever they require. I mean, that's a really cool little facility. And like, people are kind of like, Brooks, it's
I don't think
2 hours from Calgary, but it is the moto track. Like from what I remember of it from last year, from walking around it and being on it shooting, and then just from seeing it again this year, like it's a really cool little track. Well, it's not even a little track. It's a really cool track. And then the facility, like they've got incredible endurocross training in there. They've got this huge grass track. Like that is like, you could have training camps there, no problem.
Absolutely. And that's where we usually spend a week or two before going to 6 days is going there and hammering grass track and getting dialed in before we leave. And it's a great property. We used to go there for even like, I've probably been riding. I mean, I grew up riding there when I was a kid because we didn't have a track here in Medicine Hat. And even when I was first racing 6 days, we used to go just smash it's changed a lot since like that
Yeah.
era. Even like it's every time we put a race on there, it's like a new line open. We try to find some new stuff, and
Yeah.
it's a great spot for people to go. Like for our area, our neck of
Yeah.
the woods, like we don't have mountains, we don't have any enduro areas. It's all farmland that you can't touch.
Yeah.
So it's a great spot. Yeah, we love going there.
Yeah, and you guys didn't even make you guys use like the side hill that's there. It's not a huge hill, but it's there, and it's a cool feature. You guys used it, but you could do some pretty unique things there, like
Definitely.
with
That's called
tracking.
Dinosaur Park.
Oh yeah, over there.
No, we called it mini. We let Shane put in a little section, and we come down, and it's like this. It looks like it's like Hoodoo Land, Badlands
Yeah.
plan,
Yeah,
and we put in
it's
this
that
little
same
right
dirt.
hand
Yeah,
turn. It's the same type of dirt, and there's
yeah,
this little right hand section
Yep.
where you go up and you drop down it, and it's like
yes.
a foot and a half drop. And I'm like, oh, of course Shane puts in like we'll call this mini outliers. It's so gnarly, Shane.
Petite extinction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that was nuts. I mean, it turned out to be a great day. The racing was tight. So Phil Cheney came out west. You're one of your BFFs, Jared.
Yep.
And the battles between you guys were epic. Like you guys were bar to bar sometimes on the course. And I got some video of you guys like charging together that was really cool.
Yeah, it's like synchronized swimming, but more dangerous.
But more epic.
Yeah.
I don't know. Synchronized swimming is pretty epic in its own way.
It is epic.
It is.
And I guess it could be dangerous.
Yep.
Like I said, I can't float.
Yeah, that would be dangerous. Damn. Extreme synchronized swimming.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's Red Bull sponsor synchronized swimmers.
Probably.
Gotta be.
Maybe I could be the first one.
I've seen you in a pool.
Have you? No, you have not.
Well, you didn't see me, but I saw you.
Yeah, no, I don't go in pools, man. They're gross. Pools is gross.
Phil kicked my ass straight up.
Yeah.
I had him covered I thought after that first test, I was like, ooh, I got this. And then he turned up the jets and I did not.
Yeah, I mean, but that was awesome. And then on the women's side, having Shelby there was amazing. Shelby and Lexi, ISDE World Trophy teammates this year. And they were like literally finishing on the same less than half second, I think on 2, maybe 3 tests in that first round. Like going back and looking at the results and like the test by test results was sick. I think one of the things that, I thought about on the journalism side is like, okay, Shelby's been riding since, she's coming off major like surgery on both her knees. But she'd been down in Arizona since like early mid-January and racing GNCC, racing NEPG. I don't think she did a US sprint round. I'm not sure. I don't think she had. But I could be wrong. I don't have the stats in front of me. Which is lame. I should have that all up. Do better.
We should too.
Yeah. Well, it is what it is. And it was cool seeing how close. I mean, Lexi is an incredible motocross rider and an incredible off-road rider. I mean, just outstanding. And to see them so close, that got me pretty excited for Spain. And then same thing in round 2, Shelby finished about a minute or an extra minute. So I think Shelby won by just around 2 minutes over Lexi. And you kind of see where, it was, if you look at the stats and like, the test by test comparisons across the enduro, the moto tests or the cross test, sorry. You can see it's kind of like opening up, but I really think that, as Lexi hits starting to hit the meat of her season now, and, she's going to get more seat time. She didn't really start riding until like literally she had like a couple hours in, I think, before your first race.
Mm-hmm.
And, that makes me really excited for the possibilities for the women's trophy team come October.
Mm-hmm.
I know, and I have no doubt that Felicia Robichaud is going to be fast too. So I'm looking forward to seeing what the Canadian women can get up to over there, and so excited to be able to watch that. So then I don't know. Like, so then your race went off. I went down after that to GNCC, speaking of Shelby Turner, and, went to the Hoosier, and that was amazing. That was my first GNCC, and it was sick. It lived up to the billing. To be at the Ironman Raceway is incredible, and see where, Danger Boy launched the incredible, the incredible triple. And to see that in real life, you're like, if you're standing where he landed, it doesn't look like much. I mean, you're like, oh, well, that's a big jump and pretty flat landing. But then when you walk down under the bridge and you look up, and you're just like, holy crap. Like, TV never does it justice. And it sure doesn't just looking at it in real life. But, that the GNCC, credits them. They run a tight ship. They've got it going on. And, it wasn't as bad weather as they've had at a lot of their rounds this year, but, they dealt with like a lot of rain on Friday night, through the day Saturday. And, the work that they do and the team at Ironman Raceway did to get the track ready after the ATVs kicked the shit out of it all day on Saturday. The work they did to make that track as amazing as it was incredible. And it was a really, really good day of racing. And to see Shelby pick up P2 on the day behind Rachel Archer was incredible. Yeah. I mean, such a good race. And it was nuts, that race. The women's race was epic. And to see like the changes that were going on in the last 2 laps, especially the last lap, there was, the course had dried out and it was really great dirt by, lap 2 of the women's race after the youth had raced on it in the morning. Amazing dirt, except for like this really big bog section in the back where I hung out during the men's race, the pro men, for a while. And that bog was insane. And that bog changed things. I mean, everything was happening. There was like people going from like 5th to 1st to 2nd to 3rd to, Shelby was in like 4th or 5th, finished 2nd on the last lap. Corey Steed, Rockstar Energy, Husqvarna Factory Race Team, I think had taken over the lead from Rachel Archer as I recall on the last lap. I remember like standing where I found a good spot where I could see them a couple times on the lap, and Rachel Archer's in the lead. And then I think she got bogged down in the mud. She got held up in the mud bog.
Yeah.
Corey went through and then Corey ran out of gas and ended up finishing 4th. Rachel Goodish, contributor to the Enduro Bureau, super great person. And, we can talk a bit about her adventures in Enduro GP this year too, but, that's her home race. She's from Terre Haute, which is like 20, 30 minutes, I think, from the race site. She came in, she kicked ass. Whoop.
So I just dropped something. We're good.
That's okay. We'll edit it out, but I'm going to leave this in. So, hopefully you feel a little embarrassed. That's okay. I've kicked my mic like twice. And I'm drinking a beer and eating lemon. I'm drinking a beer and eating lemon meringue pie while we're doing this. So
I'm jealous.
That's funny. Jealous. So I mean, yeah, she picked up 3rd in her home race, which was great. What else? I mean, the men's race was incredible. Stu Baylor getting a 2nd win in a row to take the momentum away from Johnny Girard in the series. The last race, the next round in Ohio that just went off, I think 2 weeks ago, he had a rough race there. So, things aren't as tight as maybe I was hoping at the top, but still ultra competitive on the men's side and really competitive still on the women's side. I mean, Rachel Archer, it's her series to lose. That was the one interesting thing I did see at that race is Brandy Richards. I mean, one of the best women riders in the world. It was just not her day. I'm not sure what was going on. But I think she had trouble I know she had trouble off the start because I was standing in the first wood sections, just like, a couple hundred yards after the start. And she was already like falling back. And then you could just see like every lap she was slowing down. I don't know if she wasn't feeling good or something. I remember actually at one point I was standing near, if you look at the Ironman Raceway on Google Maps, there's like the start gates and then just behind them is the wood section. So I was standing there and Brandy they were waiting on Brandy and her, one of her team mechanics team members was out there on the course with the headset and like, the pit board. And it just said like, it's not a great day. And it just said, do your best. But you know what? That's solid advice though. When you're
It
having a
is.
shitty day, like, hey, like just take it for what it is. She's a pro. She knows. It's just like, it was like a little subtle reminder. And that was a really kind of a neat moment, in its own way. And so it just wasn't her day, but great experience. I can't wait to go back. I almost, it was everything I could do. I sort of had a choice or I had to make a choice, for the power line, the next round after Hoosier, to, if I was going to, hop on a plane to Pittsburgh last second and go to that, or stay here in Alberta. And I made the choice to stay in Alberta. I went to we talked about it briefly before, the AMSA off-road race, the Provincial Cross Country Championship Series, in Alex, Alberta, which actually your guys' series is going there next.
Round 3, last sprint.
Round 3, baby.
Yep.
Sprint enduro. And that's an amazing facility too. Like really a lot of hills, woods, fields. It's got it all. Just not the views of, southern Alberta on the foot of the Rockies.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still beautiful, just like rolling farmland, gorgeous area.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a great race too. I mean, they ran into some problems, and like I'm not at all dumping on them. They had a bit of an issue in the afternoon race with, I think it was the intermediates, somehow blew a corner and then ended up going head on with the pros. No accidents or anything. Like, they managed it. I mean, obviously it's a tough situation for everyone. But again, a great race. Kevin Dupuis, he had picked up, so Hayden Dupuis' dad, he raced at Hoosier. He picked up, I think, 66 overall in P5 in Vet A. So, I mean, 66 overall doesn't sound like a lot, but if you know, that's a hell of a result.
Yeah, that's exactly it. If you know, you know.
Yeah. That was a wicked ride. I mean, he was flying out there. Looked really good. And then he came back, and he's the AMSA Off-Road Series champion, the Western Canadian Off-Road Champion Series champ from last year. I mean, the man is fast. Mm-hmm. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. It was awesome watching him and Kevin Schrag, or Jason. Sorry, Jason
Schrag.
Yeah, Jason Schrag. My bad. From riding the Honda Canada, riding for Honda Canada.
Long time icon in Alberta off-road.
And I mean, not just Alberta. Yeah, he's an icon.
Yeah,
up here in the Great White North.
Yeah.
And super chill guy. That was the first time I talked to him at all, and I was just like, oh, he's so cool and laid back. Like, right on.
Yeah.
And he had a great ride, and there was just, he just couldn't. Kevin just sprinted hard, I think, for about a lap at some point. I'll have to go back and look at the lap times, and I know the first 2 laps got deleted because of, they were trying to manage the situation with the course problems they had in that afternoon race. But I saw him out there. He was efforting, and he just couldn't shut down that 2 to 3 minute gap that Kevin built up. And I mean, they're both such smooth riders, and like the flowy single track and Alex at the track there, Extreme Raceways, they were both, I mean, so many of the pros there were ripping it up. I was really impressed. It was awesome. Great race. Going back down to the next round of that series this weekend in southern Alberta, close to where your guys' race was. Mm-hmm. And that is also round 1 of the Western Off-Road Championship Series. So super excited for that. That'll be good. That's a pretty tough course down there. Porcupine Hills. You've raced down there, haven't you, Jared?
Not since I was a kid.
Yeah.
I'd love to go back there. I mean, it's probably the closest off-road race that I'll get to our current living location. But yeah, I haven't raced or rode around there since I was probably 7 years old.
Yeah,
but
it probably hasn't changed.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the trail, I know some of it's a faster, flowier single track, and from what I heard last year, there was quite a bit more technical stuff included in the race.
Yep.
But yeah, no, it's a good place. It's a great spot.
Yeah, some real elevation at that one, which is cool.
Yeah.
Maybe not high elevation, but elevation gain throughout the race. And, like, people look legitimately destroyed at the end of it last year.
For sure.
I'm looking forward to it big time.
Are you going back down?
Yeah. So, for the race
right on.
Sunday, just for the day. And yeah, looking forward
Saturday.
to it. Sorry. Yeah. Saturday. I forget.
Yeah.
Yeah. You
If
guys,
it
the
was
main race
Sunday,
is Sunday. Yeah. Theirs
Yeah.
is Saturday.
If it was Sunday, I'd be going.
if it was Sunday, I'd be racing too, but I can't take off work.
No. Understanding that. So what else? Yeah, so GNCC was sick to see Shelby down there. So Powerline, if you watched her post-race interview from your race, I asked her about that. And, so your P2 had another really good result at Powerline in Ohio, where she got fourth. And the way she described it was that it was a fighting fourth. She ran, it was only a 3-lap race because of the course conditions, really slick, really muddy, as per many of the GNCCs. And she had trouble on the first lap. I think she fell back all the way back to 8th in the pro women's field and worked her way back up to 4th. And she was, if I remember the results, like she was there. And I think if she'd had one more lap, she might have been able to get onto the box. But that's racing, right? Everybody's on the same course, deals with the same issues. So not her best result, but really, I mean, in the series, I believe she's 3rd overall now. Actually, I'm going to look that up right now. GNCC Racing. I feel like such a loser that I don't have this at my fingertips. Here we go. Results and overall by class, women pro, women XC. No, sorry, she's in 4th. She's 2 points behind Corey Steed in 3rd. Corey's got it 152, Shelby's at 150, and Brandy Richards is in 2nd at 154. The fall off from Shelby to Rachel Goodish in 5th is huge, and it'll just get bigger because Rachel's going to be invested in racing Enduro GP. So that will eat into her GNCC opportunities. So really, Rachel Archer is way out in front. She's up by about 24 points, 25 points on Brandy Richards. So, I mean, really the race for 2nd and 3rd is huge there at GNCC, and Shelby's in it with a really good chance. Really exciting to see, and I'm looking forward to watching that for the rest of the season. So that'll be great.
That's going to be good to follow.
Yeah. I mean, what else has gone on? Hard Enduro World Championship Series or World Championship kicked off 2 weekends ago in Wales, new venue, Valleys. I mean, an iconic British venue, first time in the FIM series. And it was nuts. Like, you think Wales, you think the spring, you think like soaking wet, pouring rain, cold, very British weather. And no, it was dry and dusty. It was nuts.
Who would have thought?
Yeah, right. It was wild to watch. It was like they were in Alberta. Like, I was like, what is going on? Like, when I saw the super test, I was like, what the deuce? When did they come here? This is not Wales. So, I mean, no surprise, Manny Lettenbichler takes the win. Especially no surprise given that Billy Bolt is out with his post-knee surgery. It was cool. So I wrote, when Billy had his surgery, I remember writing about, obviously this is a big deal. And Tristan Hart is not racing the full series. He's focused and committed on US Hard Enduro. His biggest goal of the year is Erzberg, and he talks about that in the post-race interview from your last race. That's on the gram. I'll have that stuff up on YouTube in the next day or two, probably before this thing drops or just as it's dropping. So keep an eye out. I'll make sure to link it. So yeah, down at King of the Motos in January in California, he was talking about how like Erzberg is his number 1 goal for the year, and it's always a big goal for him. And then he reiterated that again when I asked him about it. And he's got this weekend, he's back to the US for Tough Like Roar. It's a premier round at the US Hard Enduro Series. It's a doubleheader, and it's also holiday weekend there, Memorial Day. So he's going to get it's going to be a late getaway for him and the other guys from the US series that are going over. I suspect Ryder LeBlanc from Rockstar Energy Husqvarna, our previous guest, Will Reardon, Gas Factory Racing US, is going over. I'm not sure if Cody Webb is or not. When I talked to him in California about it, and maybe Arizona, he was kind of like, he wasn't sure. I hope he goes. With Billy gone, like it's a little more wide open. But yeah, Tristan's only going to do the 3 races on the FIM series, or planning to do the 3 races, Erzberg, Romaniacs, and TKO back in the States, which is part of the US Hard Enduro series. So that's pretty exciting. You know, one of the things I wrote about though was with Tristan not doing that series or most of the series, that really opens the door for everyone else to fight it out for the podium places behind Manny, assuming like nothing goes wrong for Manny, like no injuries or whatever.
Is anybody close to Manny on these finishes?
No,
nothing close. No.
Yeah. But what's interesting is, you know, one of the people I called out as having a real shot was, I'm going to butcher his name, but Tedor Kabakchev.
Yeah.
Who he was basically a pro privateer. I mean, he was on a bit of a program last year, but nothing serious. But he took a spot on the Sherco factory racing team this year.
Right.
It got announced in the winter. And I said, like, hey, like with that factory support, he was kind of like hovering around 5th, 4th, 5th last year, and like so talented. And watching him ride at Outliers, both the prologue and the main race. I mean, just this, he's like that classic tall, hard enduro like guy with like all the leverage, the physical tools. And to have the factory support, I was like, yeah, like he could be the one to beat. And then again, Mario Roman, same team. I was like, those two guys, like to me, they're sort of like, you know, maybe Johnny, but it was like, to me, it was like, I really like the look of the Sherco team. And sure enough, it was Manny and then Tedor and Mario. So I was like, yeah, that made me feel good. So, I mean, you know, I've been an analyst in my life for quite a while. And, you know, I thought that was a decent little piece of analysis, but it was also pretty fucking lucky. You know,
I call that skill. I call it skill.
Yeah, no, I call it fucking lucky. You know, but you make your own luck, I guess. But you know, that was really exciting to watch. I think it's going to be a great season. I think there's a lot of opportunity for people to make a name for themselves this year. I mean, it's unknown when Billy's going to be back. I think the press release was at least half the season. So I don't know if that means like TKO might be his first race back in late August, over in Tennessee or down in Tennessee, or if he waits for it to go back to Europe and just kind of catches the last round or two. But it's friggin' Billy Bolt. That guy's a golden god and a hard man. So who knows? I mean, he could be back maybe for Serbia. I don't know. I think Romaniacs would be a little much for a first race. Like that is such an epic adventure.
Yeah.
Of multi-day insanity. But yeah, very exciting. I've heard whispers and I have not tried to confirm this yet. So this could just be me totally bullshitting. I don't know, but I am going to try and follow up. I've heard a couple whispers that maybe Billy's going to come and race enduro cross in North America or in the US this fall, which, you know, if he misses a big chunk of the season with his knee injury and he wants to be fast and ready for super enduro, you know, not a bad idea. And also, you know, in a way, like I think it makes a lot of sense on a couple levels. Like he gets to do it. I assume Johnny Walker would come back and do it. They are kind of BFFs, so I think they could have a lot of fun and be a bit of a mutual support system for each other. Mm-hmm. And then also it just helps Billy grow his brand outside of just racing in the US and in North America.
US,
which would be, I mean, not a terrible idea for anyone. I mean,
be a smart move.
He's hugely successful in life outside of the tape, outside of the race course. Seems to be doing really well, and I think that's a good way. It would be a good way for Bill. So maybe it does make sense. I don't know. If it happens, I broke it. No. If it didn't happen, we never spoke. We never spoke a word of this.
No. If it happens, we know it's skill.
Yeah. As if. Usually not a word associated or that I associate with myself or anyone else does. Just ask my partner Jody. She will tell you.
Put her on. Let's hear it from her.
No. No, ma'am. I will not. She'll just talk about my adult ADHD. And she won't be wrong. So Enduro GP, I mean, another great year, right? Like,
yeah, it's been pretty all over the place. There's some, I mean, the same guys up top, but there's been some different names popping here and there.
Yeah, I mean, Andrea Verona's kicking ass. Joseph Garcia. I mean, no surprises. Steve Holcomb, really good. I mean, he did have an off round in Romania, and I don't think he had his best round in the second round, which was also the second Portuguese GP. So I'm not sure. I haven't been following that as closely as I should have. I'm not sure if he's like maybe got an injury or something, but it is also, he's switched over programs, and who knows? I don't think it's anything that's not correctable. He'll be there battling, and I think between the three of those guys, I don't think there's anyone else that's going to challenge for the overall.
No,
it is good to see Andrea Verona kicking ass on the 250. I mean, that's nuts. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
What else? I mean, yeah, GNCC. I've been trying to keep an eye on NGPC, a little bit on the hare scrambles down in the US. It's just, there's a lot going on. And we are now, I mean, with FIM Hard Enduro kicking off, Euro Series kicking off,
it's
things
not
are going
even
good.
June.
And that's it. And like, so, I think something we can all, you guys could probably speak to more than me. I think you probably got more familiarity for it than I do at the moment. But a big focus of mine this year is the FMSQ series here in Canada.
Yeah.
And that kicks off this coming weekend.
Wish I was going.
Yeah, I wish I was going too. So, I mean, that's a huge one. I guess, if you describe it, it's GNCC in Canada, basically. It's big, like, I think probably what do they average? Like 1,000 to 1,200 people around.
Yeah, I think it's on their big rounds it gets to that, and I think on average it's probably more closer to 700
ish. Yeah.
Yeah.
But like,
just
yeah, only. And that's it. I mean, it's a huge series. I mean, no joke. It is fast. It is pro. It's amazing.
Yeah, they do
really
such a good job out there.
Oh yeah, I'm so excited. I'm hoping to get to. I'm going to be at least one. I'd say I'm like 95% certain I'll be at Phil's race. That times out well to go to the Courtney and Enduro in Ontario, which is, I don't know, is that Canada's biggest off-road race and biggest enduro race?
Yeah, I would think so. It'd be, I think they cap it at 700 or something like that as well.
600, yeah.
600.
Okay, 600, yeah. Yeah, multi-day event. Yeah, super good. Are you thinking about going, Jared, and Courtney?
We're both going.
Yep.
You're going to go?
Yep, we've already registered. We registered this weekend.
Oh, well, holy hell. That's good. Well, that makes me even more confirmed to go. So
even more confirmed to drive out with us all 35 hours.
We're taking a truck or a trailer load this go around again.
So last year you guys took a trailer load of bikes from Alberta, and you're going to do the same thing this year? Yeah.
Yep.
And that's
we're
terrible.
Gonna load up.
I wanted to go, and I didn't realize you were driving across on your own with all these bikes. If I'd known, I would have driven last year. This year,
should have drove with them.
I'm flying.
I
know that's what I would have done. It would have been.
We had the motorhome.
Yeah.
I had to stop and make coffee instead of have somebody just make it.
Yeah.
The biggest issue. Plans couldn't happen.
Yeah. The biggest issue, and I don't know. Did you go through the States or did you stay up in Canada?
I stayed up in Canada. Just I didn't have to get permission slips from 20 people to bring bikes across.
Yeah, and I guess even going to Quebec through the States from Alberta, you're probably not going to hit any Buc-ee's. So that would be my only regret, is missing a Buc-ee's. But no, I think I'm going to fly. Because it's just a couple of weeks before Spain, and that's a lot of time to leave management on their own at home. Try to manage like this with the home life and being a sportive partner. So
yes,
it's a lot to ask.
It is.
So yeah, hopefully it all works out. That I can fly down. I really want to be there. Really want to be there. So I mean, yeah, FMSQ, like, Alex Goujon is the defending champ. Is anyone going to beat him this year, do you think?
I think Phil's going to be in it.
I think Phil's going to be there? What did he finish last year? Second, third? Third, yeah.
And it was my fault, because apparently if I would have passed one more person at the last round, I would have saved his points gap. But
Jared,
I know.
You ruined it for him.
You're an asshole. Way to go.
I know. Well, that's why I'm letting him win all these sprint enduros, is to make up for my mistake.
You dick. Classic. One of my favorite lines from Fast Time is at Ridgemont High.
I really do think Phil's going to, turn on the jets. He's riding with some super intensity this year and some dog in him. So I think that's when Phil's got that spark fired, he's on a whole nother level. And I've seen it at these first 2 rounds.
He was hauling.
Expectations would be for me to beat him on dry, dusty, hard pack and Brooks, and he was able to figure it out quick and pull it off. So I'm excited to see him ride his full series this year again.
Yeah, it's gonna be great. I was talking to Tyler Medaglia. What's today? Wednesday? I guess I was talking to him on Monday or Tuesday, and just finding out. So the first round of the Ontario Off-Road Series went the Gopher Dunes XC Hare Scramble. One of your BFFs, Ty, who was on episode 2, maybe episode 1 or 2 with the Canadian ISD, the 3 of the 4 amigos.
Yes.
Phil didn't do it. Phil. So yeah, no, it was good to chat with him. He won both days. A really dominant performance. I know. So Alex Goujon was there. He had a problem on the first day. I think what Phil told me, and Tyler was pretty sure that was right, is that he ripped a rad hose off the bike on day 1 on the Saturday.
Oh.
And then, so he got 4 laps in, and that was it, or 3 laps in, I think. And then he was done. But on Sunday, he picked up 3rd, much faster. Evo suspension. Loic Leonard is, Leonard Loic. I swear my mind is gone right now. Picked up P2, which is amazing. I mean, there's a legend. I mean, another Canadian stud. Good on him. Second P2 both days. I know. It was good. And talking to Tyler, I don't know if you've spoken with him too, but it was funny. He was like, "Yeah, that was really hard," And, so he's riding Honda this year. Honda Canada GDR Racing, Fox Racing team Moto, and he said that for the Hare Scramble, he just pulled one of the Woods bikes out of the container there at Gopher Dunes, and he was saying that he rode it. He put his own handlebars on it, and that was about it. It was stock, and he's like, it was still flying. I was like, oh, it was like you're back at ISDE last year, rental bike, and he's like, yeah, but way better.
Yeah.
So he was really happy with how the Honda went. He said he was really surprised how sore he was on Saturday night and the day after Monday. He said he got blisters, which he's been doing like the high intensity short motos, getting ready for the Triple Crown, which kicks off here in Calgary, the national series here in Canada for motocross on June 2nd, I think is the Sunday.
Yeah.
So he's been getting ready for that. He said he got blisters because he's not used to riding like that kind of distance. He's only been riding his Woods bike on his recovery days just to tool around in the woods and just, get out on the single track and chill out. He was chafing and muscles, he was just like, oh my God.
Yeah.
So I asked him if he was thinking about going to the first round of FMSQ or if it was just too close, being only a week ahead of the national series kicking off. And he said, last year he did it. I think he won it, round 1 of FMSQ. And he did it on his motocross bike, he said, and it just kicked to quote, kicked the shit out of me. He was pretty trashed for the Edmonton round, which started it off last year on the motocross side. So he's going to take a pass this year. He's going to try and get to whatever ones he can. But I mean, his contract is motocross. So of course, that has to be the priority. And he's also wicked good at it. He's got to be one of the favorites to win the 250 series overall.
Yeah.
Here in
I'm
Canada.
Excited to watch him
I'm
ride
fired up.
MX2 again. It's going to be interesting.
I am fired up. Really looking forward to seeing him race here in Calgary, and then hopefully I can make it down to Lethbridge for round 2 as well. But yeah, I mean, it's all happening. It's all kicking off, and pretty exciting times. It was good to see. It was nice to see the Sunday race in Ontario, though, to get like a baseline. And I've got to go back and look at FMSQ last year and some other races before that, and just look at the baseline between Tyler and Alex, sort of see what, percentage wise, where they usually finish with each other, and look for those performance gains or decreases or whatever's going on. And then throw Phil into that mix. And then we've got some stats, especially with round 3 coming up. We'll have some stats between you and Phil to benchmark. So using Phil as a benchmark to, see where you guys are at, in terms of the national off-road scene, the national enduro scene. That'll be really fun. As an analyst, data nerd, I'm going to love that.
Yeah.
Comparative analysis.
Oh, God. Stop it.
I think we've talked about, you and I, Jared, I know you're into the data. What is the sexiest function in Excel?
Sexiest?
I always say it's the VLOOKUP.
I was going to say VLOOKUP is my most popular use.
Yeah.
It is it's deprecated. Useful.
It's deprecated.
Yeah.
I like when he gets all my columns to get the total at the end.
Sum function. The real techie one.
I'm like, ooh, that was good.
Ooh. Can you make a chart?
Yeah, it makes my life easier.
No, that's sick. I love it. I could talk spreadsheets all day. I'd be pretty happy, but nobody else wants to hear about that shit.
Oh, but they do. If they knew what conditional formatting would do.
Oh, hey, speaking of data, this is a question I had. I noticed you're running the 450 KTM. I mean, you are a KTM Canada rider, KTM Canada SOR Enduro. So shout out to them on your behalf. I did notice you did have the, what is it? The ECU or the, what do they call it?
Connect?
The Connect on on your bike.
UO?
Whatever it's called. I can't remember off the top of my head.
Connectivity unit off-road.
Yeah. So did you have that thing turned on the weekend?
Yep.
Ooh.
I haven't downloaded the data yet, though. That's an afterthought. But it would attract all of our racing and all of our
Were you? I think you were the only one who was running it.
Phil's got it too. Oh no, Phil took his off.
Did he?
Yeah, because he
I didn't see it
fenders. Yeah,
Oh.
the fenders. We just don't have enough fenders to go around,
Okay. Well, that's cool. If I can I get my hands on that data, take a look at what it is, and I'd like to sort of explore what it's all about, and get your opinion on it too. And I mean, that's something
awesome.
That'd be amazing for like digging deeper into the race results and race coverage. And
totally.
The analysis piece.
That was kind of the whole point when I got Phil to bring his out, so we both would have it on. And then, when we come down to whoever's beating who, or when we're tie, we went so many times that we finished tests within half a second of each other, where each one of us is a bit stronger, or because it tells you what gear you're in, how fast you're going, when, what map you're running.
Will it tell you like throttle position and all that sort of stuff?
It tells you,
the RPM.
RPM, gear.
It'll tell you what's going on in the motor. And that's sick. Now, you weren't wearing a heart rate monitor, were you?
No, I was not.
Did you have your watch on?
I had my watch on, but it wasn't connected to the CUO.
Well, maybe we got to look into that for the next round, because that'd be sick to do almost like a review and use case for it, and sort of show what it does, what it doesn't do. I think that'd be a really cool article to do and to talk about, and make sure Phil runs his as well.
That's a good idea.
Maybe we could get it. I mean, it'd be cool if I don't know who else is running KTM 450s, or does it have to be a 450? Just any KTM off-road.
Any 4-stroke.
Any 4-stroke.
On the new generation stuff.
Yeah. Who else is riding them in this series? It'd be interesting to see if we could get our hands on a couple just to demo from KTM and really get a set of data across a few people in the top ranks.
Yep. So me, Phil, Owen should be able to put it on.
Yep. Is Owen going to come back to another round, do you think? Is he going to be able to fit in round 3?
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure what the Norks schedule is. And that's something else. I haven't paid enough attention to is Norks. Owen McKill's been racing that. Boston Montgomery, who's on the junior World Trophy team for Canada this year. They've been training together, training partners. Again, when the post-race interviews go up on the YouTubes, Owen talks about Boston and how they started training together this year and pushing each other a lot. And that kid, I saw him race, I believe at Vega last year here in Alberta. And yeah, he was pretty quick.
Yeah, I've heard good things.
Pretty quick. So yeah, I definitely, I would love to get him on the podcast actually and learn a little bit more about him and that sort of thing. So yeah, I don't know. What else? What's on your guys' minds?
Well, we could cover a little bit about our last round, I guess, here.
Yeah. I mean, let's do it.
So we came back to Pincher and the snow came again. But this time we weren't as nervous because it was only like 4 inches instead of 12 inches. So
but enough to build a massive snowman.
Yeah,
but we knew
sent me the video. Yeah,
the temperatures weren't dropping as low as they were before, and so we knew we were hoping, anyways. But we knew that it would be gone, and it did melt off really quick for Saturday.
Yep.
And Saturday's conditions tacked up to be epic. Like those guys had so much fun.
By the time I got there on Saturday afternoon, we got there like around 3:30, and immediately I kind of hopped out of the truck and slapped a few high fives, and then quickly ventured out to walk the enduro test. And I went down with a good friend of mine who did his first enduro race. So yeah, shouts out to him. I'm not going to publicly name, but super good guy, good buddy of mine, and he had a good time. I think he was a little like about the snow on Sunday morning, but the sun came out and melted it all away just before race time. So, and we'll talk about that. But we were walking that course, and like we were just like kicking the dirt and like oh my god, this is amazing. And like one of the first things I said to you, I did a little stand-up interview with you, Jared, when I got back, and one of the things that really stood out to me on the enduro test was through the woods, the way you guys staked it and taped it. There were so many line options. And I think one of the things you said, Jared, was like it really like you built it to reward people who are going to take the time to walk the course.
Yeah.
And I think it probably did pay off. And some of the video I got is interesting because I can, you can look at the different lines and what people were doing at different places. The 3 that come to mind are the top of the Rocky Hill at the very back of the course. I don't know what you called that hill.
Well, it's close to Tick Hill, but it's not.
Tick Hill's the next one over. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's like Rocky Hill, whatever we're calling it. There's a sick inside line that most people, there's just like a little lip on the entry to it. And I think a lot of people got wigged out by that lip. Yeah. It was the left inside line. Yeah. And the inside line. Yeah. And most people took like a middle to outside line there, not all the way outside, which is the easiest by far route, but you could that's one of those spots where you could visibly see apart from the rocks, you could visibly see that was the fastest line by far. Anyone who hit it went fast. Anyone who didn't,
and you could dodge all the rocks there too.
Everything was dug out. It was amazing. Again, we talked about Sawyer earlier in the podcast. He was one of the only people outside of the pros that I saw actually hit that inside line. On cross, that would have been on cross test 2. He hit it. I'm assuming he hit it on 1. I don't know if he kept hitting it.
Enduro test.
Enduro test. I know Kevin Dupuis couldn't race because he had an accident leading up in the week leading up to it and just wasn't quite up. He was saying he needed to be at like 85% to feel good about racing. He wasn't quite there yet. But he was standing there just before that corner at the top of the hill, yelling, screaming inside. Like when I put up the raw video tomorrow on YouTube, so it'll be out by the time this thing drops. You can just hear Kevin Dupuis in the background yelling inside at everybody.
Yeah, he was shouting that to me when I was there.
It was funny. He was so frustrated when people wouldn't do it. He's like, it's so much faster.
Oh yeah, he was saying it was like a 2-second.
Oh, it was huge difference. The other spot that I got on video that'll show it really well is the last section of woods just before that hill where you come out of the woods. Yeah. So the line there was pretty wide. And to the left side of the course was the straight line through a narrow gap in the trees with a jump coming out of it. and that was the natural straight line. And it was fast. So Tristan went through there. He looked fast. Owen, Phil went through there. But then you came through and you took the right, like the sweeper, which was the original main line when I walked the course. And I remember thinking like, oh, that left line is going to be the way. If as long as like, people aren't intimidated by like the smaller tree gap. And I was wrong. Like you came through there, and I'll have to like actually time it on the video. But that right side line that you took the sweeper looked fast, looked faster for sure. I mean, you were wheels to the ground, generating power the whole way through it. You didn't have to check up at all. And like the speed you carried out of it versus the people, like the speed people were carrying off the jump was just looked very different. Like they're multi-tenths of a second at least, I think.
Yeah, that was an interesting line because when we flagged it, there was actually a whole bunch of trees leading up to that line, and then Tyler had actually cleared some of that section out, and so when I was riding it, I could tell everybody was going left.
Yeah,
but
everybody was straight lining.
And so there was a kicker coming out of that section on the left, and I looked at both those lines and I was like, but it was actually like, because everybody was using the one line, it made the line that I chose a little bit dodgier because like you kind of get a little bit floaty, and if you get a little bit off center, you'd be smashing those. It's two big
true,
trees.
Right? Because you would come in the way you dropped in. I think you would come through that, and your front end would probably be a little bit light, and that would be that floaty you're talking about, right? And you would have ended up right in my camera, which would have sucked. But I had some bushes in front of me. I would have been okay.
What line did you take in there, Courtney?
I took the left line.
The left line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably I didn't assess it as good as you did, but I just saw straight instead of like, because then you come up and you lose getting your wheels on the ground quicker, as you were just like so much smoother and you were able to just power through with more momentum. Because this way the left line was like downhill and then up, right?
Yeah. It wasn't as smooth into the section, and it wasn't as smooth out. For the listeners, just before we got started, Jared was working all day and had to get some food. So I was showing Courtney a little preview of the raw files, and we were looking at that section, and it just was like, that's fast. The other big one was huge difference, and there was only one person who took the option, was on the cross test. I don't know what the feature is called or if it has a name, but you come up, and that's where one of my photos of Tristan, like with the mountains as the backdrop. So you come up, you peak, and it's just like wicked up. There's a bunch of step ups on the way up the climb, which people were like doubling, and it looks sick. It was amazing. I was fanning out big time, geeking out. And then you come over this like little knob, I guess, as a sweeping right-hander, come down, and it starts as a gentle downhill, but then there's two logs, and it gets steep really fast. The logs are widely separated. Again, I got video from three angles, actually, from up above at first, and then side profile. And I also had the drone flying, looking at it straight on when I was shooting the profile, like beside the track of people doing it. And the only one who doubled that was, the boss, the robot, Tristan Hart. And like even just watching it really quick, like Courtney and I were both like, that's like at least 4 or 5 tenths of a second. Like that was fast. And I think he was the only guy to do it.
I think Spencer jumped it as well on his start.
Did he?
At one point. I don't think you did it like the whole time, but but Tristan was doing it consistently, and I was puckered every time I came down. I'm like, if I jump that and mistime it like too far, I said, I don't think I'll be able to stop my 450. I'll be blowing into the motocross track. So
and that's and at the bottom, like the braking bumps and the holes at the bottom dug out so hard, and then it's in a 180 degree corner to the left for people. You'll see it on video, but that was sick. The only time Tristan didn't make it was the last test when sort of like a sleety, snowy, rainy mix and high wind blew in. And he didn't do it that last time, which bummed me out. But I was like, I had a really good angle for that time. I was like, you bugger. But I got a good photo out of it. So I mean, that was fast. I mean, there's other places for sure. The grass tracks, there was line options for how you were going to corner. It was really good overall. It was a great course because it gave people choices that had ramifications.
Yeah.
Multiple times per test.
The funny part about that grass track, and it was come right from Tyler Revere, because when we first staked that in, we had Clint do a lap on the course to get a distance.
Yeah.
And he that grass field is used as pasture for cattle. Yeah. And so you could see when he drove over, when he came back to the finish, and he's like, we're going to take a grader on that thing and stat, because like all the bumps, it was grass track. Like it was all grass, but it was incredibly rough. Like when we were driving the side by side in it, you're just like getting thrown around. And
there was a lot of cow shit out there.
Yeah, there was.
There was quite a bit.
Traction.
Well fertilized.
So they did take the grader on it. Yeah. And to give you, I don't know anything about machinery, but I remember Tyler's rant after. He's like, I took the 150 grader, and excuse my tractor language, I don't know what that means, but it was a big ass grader, and the stakes were already up, and he didn't have to pull the stakes, and he could do a full pass with this grader in third gear, super wide. And he's like, I did all that work in the grader, and even I was in the grader being like, man, you could really flow this corner out and out. And come race day, here we are, all just inside, just making these tight little shitty little ruts. And I'm like, yeah, it's kind of funny that we don't just flow it. You look at the European guys, they're like, whoa, outside to inside to outside, and
they're sideways through those things, still pretty wide open on the throttle.
I think with the moisture on that, it made it a little hard to find the flow, so everybody just gets stuck in the rut.
Yeah, and people have been trained on the enduro test in the morning that there's some deep water out there in that flatland. Yeah. So I think people maybe at first were a little like, I mean, Tristan saw, and Tristan kicked ass. I mean, I wrote in the story that there's no question he's the boss, and what a multi-discipline talented guy. To see his speed in hard enduro, see his speed in enduro cross, to see his speed at sprint enduro. And I saw him race motocross in Calgary last year a couple of times, and he was pretty quick there.
Yeah. I saw the video you put with the interview with Tristan, that he was like, people were saying that he wasn't going to do good. And I was like, I don't know who that was, but they obviously haven't seen him ride a motocross track, because he's as fast as any of our pro moto guys is. He hauls on the
so what track. Came to mind, again, you're trying to think of it from a analyst perspective or a journalistic whatever it is. And I was like, so who's kind of the natural other person in Canada? Well, it's Tyler, right? Tyler is, where Tristan is super fast at hard enduro, Tyler is that much faster than Tristan, I think, at motocross.
Yeah.
Tristan's got more technical skills. I don't think there's any doubt about it. I think if you put them on an enduro cross track, Tristan will win 90 times out of 100. But I mean, I just don't know who else you would say in Canada for sure is even in the same orbit as him in terms of multidisciplinary off-road skill. Tyler came to mind, and he's there, he's close, but I think if he had more time to dedicate, sort of even up between motocross and off-road, he could close that gap, but I'm not sure who else really comes to mind off the top of my head right now, for sure. I mean, you look at, it's very similar to how good Billy is at super enduro / enduro cross, beach racing, all those things, right? Speed is speed. And Tristan came out, and I don't know who would have said, I'm not sure if I said something in my preview, I don't expect him to I don't know what I said, actually. I should probably look back. Maybe he was talking about me, but maybe I'm the asshole. But I wouldn't ever doubt that guy.
No,
I
for
mean,
sure.
he, I mean, it's sick that we have so much Canadian talent. You look at him, you look at Shelby, you look at Lexi, you look at Owen and Phil and you and Alex and all these people, right? Like there's so many great off-road riders here. And that's a testament because our season is so short here and not everyone can get down to the US to train, through the winter. I mean, look at Phil. He got down for a couple weeks, right? Like I think he raced 2 GNCCs. He got third in 125 at the first one. And then I think he was like, I forget what he was when he raced. I forget if he raced XC2, I think.
Yeah.
At the other one. I don't know how he finished up. Top 10? I'm not sure.
I don't
Top 10
remember,
in class.
Yeah.
I'll have to look back and see. But Canada's got such an amazing talent pool. And we struggle with the same problems as they do in the US, and why the series here and the series in the US are regionalized. They're West Coast, East Coast, or in the middle. It's a challenge, and I look forward to series growing where we can have the industry support, the sponsor support, to have truly national series and like team support to get people to the other side of the country. I mean, it's so amazing that Phil's coming out, and there's a lot of people helping him do it. It's great that Owen going east for FMSQ. He's trying to make every round, from what he told me. Just tremendous.
I think we're on the right path. I mean, we got, we have some really good riders, and we have another unique pool of people who are passionate about the sport, and also to the point where we're, taking Courtney and I, for example, and Phil, we're more than committed on just on a racing level. We're going to try to race these and also be promoters to the level of as professional as we possibly can make this thing.
Yeah.
And I don't think you see that very often either. Like Courtney and I talk about it all the time, even in Pincher. She's way more dedicated to the time and effort into SOR than I am, as far as the weeks in between.
Yeah, the division of duties.
Yeah. And then on race day, like I get a little complacent because I'm still probably like my brain goes full race mode, and we run the timing system in between our gaps when we're doing the sprint enduro stuff. And so she runs it 99% of the time, and then when she goes out for sprint lap, I come in and take over. And it's interesting to see. That's what I'm excited about, is that we're trying to do it at the same time as trying to race it. And obviously it's hard, and we get a bit frustrated because the more we put into racing, the less SOR gets the attention, and the more we put into making sure these events are awesome, the less effort gets put into our racing. So it's an interesting balance, but and I'll let Courtney speak to it for herself, but I'm beginning to feel like as much reward when an event goes off like complete successfully.
Absolutely.
Like when I got 4th place on the weekend, I was like, I'm like disappointed that I wasn't closer, but I mean, like I was 7 seconds behind podium, and I wish I could have got that. But I was actually like, just at the end of the day, I was actually just really happy with the event going off the way it did. And maybe I didn't get to ride as good as I wanted to, but like part of me, it's like funny, like when the podium was going up, I was like, I'm kind of glad I'm not on the podium, because now I can actually have one less thing to do. Like we can just sit here and hand these awards out instead of trying to be up there and getting covered in champagne, and I can just hide. But
it's
I would
funny.
be curious. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah.
And then, what's your perspective on that? Like, how do you? I know you're in the trenches on race day.
It's basically the same. I mean, it's definitely a busy day. It's busy time, and you really can't put 100% into just in both of them. So you have to really find that happy medium. And it is, I think the biggest thing is I just obviously I want to race, I want to get back and have that seat time and do that because it's in my blood and I love doing it. Um, and I also want to make sure we're hosting amazing race events and getting the specific type of training and hold a certain type of standard of event that we want to see in Alberta. And I love doing that for everyone and giving that type of experience. So that's so rewarding on its own when you have all these people that come to you and you're like, wow, like this was so much fun. I'm so stoked you guys are doing this. This is great. And everyone, we want to make sure we provide so much value into them being there and just show the appreciation and really recognize all of the riders, not just the pros, but everyone else too, the kids, the peewees. And I'm like, you know what? Doesn't even matter how many, youth show up to the event. I know we're trying to build that into the series and bring more of them in there. I'm like, okay, we've got 10 racers today. That's fine. We're going to still make it seem like it's a pro day and everyone's going to have the best time ever and just, give it all we got no matter what.
Yeah.
And I love that. And it's so rewarding. And then all those kids still getting the same type of experience. They're on the live timing and they get to start at the trusses. They get the awards on the podium and everything looks so professional. It's like, this is our generation and we're just giving them that experience of leading to the pro days for them too. And I love seeing that and how much fun the kids have. And that's so rewarding on its own. And I think that kind of answers that question. But, as far as myself and racing and riding, it's still nice to be able to get that seat time after having some time off. So I'm really enjoying that part, but it is very overwhelming as soon as I get back to the timing tent and I'm like, okay, done my test, helmet off. Okay, need some water. My dad brings me a cheeseburger and I'm like, he's like, eat this. I'm like, okay, because it's so hard to get food in, and then head back out. And that's like the entire day. It's like not a second of actual rest. It's just
It's
go,
got
go,
to
go,
be.
go.
It's got to be one of those things where like the day while it's happening feels like it's a year long, and then at the end of the day, it's like, wow, that went by in like 2 seconds.
Oh, totally. Totally. It's goes by so fast. But it's just so much. And you know what? It's a new timing system. So the first round, we're so grateful to have Patrick and his wife, the owners of Live Laps to actually come to our first round and make sure everything was so dialed and smooth. And so that was a blessing. And then I remember this last weekend for round 2, I sat on the phone with Patrick for like an hour on Saturday before Sunday's race event. I'm like, okay, Patrick, here are some of the things that we've learned from Saturday's race. Now, what can we do to make sure this is smooth, dialed? I'm not missing anything. And, I just really wanted to do everything that he taught me and just make sure it was good. Not that I haven't been training and doing everything for the weeks leading up, but you always have those last minute questions and how great he was to just give us all that information and show me everything. And it went so good.
And how great it was. He showed up, they came out from Ottawa to Brooks, Alberta for round 1.
Actually, he was in North Carolina and he drove all the way down because they were just touring around to other locations.
That's nuts.
Yeah, I was like to Jared, I'm like, he's already almost here. We have to have a race this weekend. That was like the biggest thing. I'm like, we're doing this for Patrick.
That's awesome. Well, and it's cool too. And I think it's important to recognize what you guys are doing and other promoters across the country are doing to build these events. Like you see series getting better, bigger, better, more professional. And that's going to only improve the standard of racing. And that's something, I guess, too, for you guys as racers, as you move further into this and continue to grow the series, just like other promoters are trying to do. But that's that legacy piece. For sure. Mm-hmm. Versus, like you could be the fastest racer in the world and then just like walk away and there's nothing other than like the memories and like, holy shit, that guy progressed the sport. Mm-hmm. But you guys are doing something substantial and, tangible to grow the sport outside of, being racer role models or whatever you want to call it. So yeah, just shouts out to you and to all the other promoters like across the country who are doing such great work.
That's another thing too, is like not necessarily do we want to just have epic racing at our events, but we want to find ways to give the up and coming racers opportunity to start riding and racing all around Canada and internationally and just give them more chances for that. So we're gonna get to that point, and all of our support through the year that from our sponsors has been directly just put straight into the series to excel, to find ways to do that for them and for it to make the series awesome.
Speaking of that development path, and just really quick, because there's one other thing I want to get to from your race last round before we sign off. I know this is going to be our longest episode. Oh my God. So I want to shout out in terms of like, Canadians going to Europe to race. I mean, Cade went, had a great success there. But right now, Kenny Henderson's over there, young guy from back in Ontario, racing. Yeah, racing for Mario Roman's junior team. Hurt himself pretty badly a couple weeks ago at a race. Substantial, I mean, nothing life altering, I don't think, but for sure. But shout out to him for he raced the junior super enduro circuit. That was sick. He's been racing hard enduro. He was looking forward to, I know, first round of the FIM. Definitely want to have him on the podcast. Shout out to him for being that pioneering, like picking up that torch and going over there. Cause I think that European development model, you don't always have to look south to the US. You can look absolutely look north. Oh my God, I'm getting tired. Look to Europe. I mean, what a developmental opportunity over there, and like such a variety of racing and terrain. I mean, insane opportunities. So shout out to Kenny Henderson. Hope he's doing well, feeling better. I'm going to reach out to him. I feel pretty terrible about that. But yeah, we really need to have him on the podcast to hear more about his experience doing that. And,
totally.
How he got on that path, so other young racers could potentially look at it as a possibility.
Exactly.
The last thing from your race that I wanted to and I nearly forgot. Again, adult ADHD. Whoa. Is Spencer Wilton came out to race year round, which was super cool. The People's Champ. It was impressive. He was there. He just broke his ankle like a month ago, and
Speak of that, when he was coming up to the registration, his leg just kept on giving out, and I'm like, what the heck? And he's like, yeah, it's way better when it's in a moto boot. So
it's funny. I was talking to his mom, and that's what she said. She's like,
yeah.
But he says it's okay because mom, it's way better in a moto boot.
Yeah, exactly.
But what was really cool was he was racing the Stark Barg, and that was really neat. So Spencer races enduro cross in the fall for HDR Gas out of Montana. Shout out to Sean Whitcomb, who runs the team. He and his son Kale came to both the first two rounds of the series. It's great to see people coming up from the States for this. I think we're going to see more, which is super cool. But in the summer, he's been racing for team. I don't know if you say INDA or Indie Team INDE run. It's an Indian. Indian owned race team. Really cool. But watching him on the Stark, that was really interesting. I mean, Spenny's fast. He's a quick guy. Like he's top 15 in enduro cross for sure. And should, I expect him to be moving top 10 there. So it was cold on Sunday. Like the sun came out and it got nicer, but in the morning, like it was 0 degrees when I got there. It was snowing heavily. It wasn't windy, thank goodness, at that point. The breeze kicked up a little bit later, but and it all melted away. But what was amazing was how well that Stark did. It made it through. And so context, Spenny doesn't have like the, whatever you call it, like the rapid charger, the supercharger or whatever for it. He was just plugging it into the back end of his pickup truck to the outlet there. I believe is what he was doing. I think that's what he said. Again, if I'm wrong, I'm sorry. I'm a loser. But so you throw in the combination of cold, steep terrain, and high altitude, and that thing went 8 out of 10 tests at the front. He was running like what, fourth, sort of like top 6, I think.
Yeah,
he would have been. And unfortunately, he ran out of juice. He would have been fine if he had that fast charger. like no question. I think that he would have been okay if he could have jammed it in. And
Yeah.
sprint enduro racing is not moto racing. It's very different. Like, on a motocross race day, you're gonna like a couple of practice sessions, a couple of sighting laps, and then some 30-minute motos with gaps in between. Plenty of time to keep that thing juiced up. He was ripping. That bike was moving. It was flying. I mean, he's obviously a great rider, but that thing like blew me away, and how well it performed overall in the conditions and the type of terrain, barreling through like deep water at one point on the course, steep rocky climbs, consistent. It's sprint, like it's motos like all day long. And that bike did amazing, and it was really interesting to see. And when you think about availability of land and all these things, and what the potential that electric bikes open up in the future as societal perception, or whatever perceptions change as to what's can be used in the next 5, 10, 20 years in our changing world. And it was so cool to see that bike going. Like, I don't know, like what you guys thought of it. Like, it did not look out of place there at all.
No, it didn't. It was
silent assassin.
Yeah, silent but deadly.
Yeah, exactly.
Spencer. I kid. But yeah, no, that was a really neat thing. And I hope we see more of Spencer in the Stark, or other people riding Starks this year and next year. And I'm really excited to kind of keep tabs on that, because if that thing can work on a day like it did, where it was snowing really quite hard in the morning at altitude, and it was cold, like even when it warmed up, it wasn't warm. Like, I had on a shell all day, and I only opened the vents like once.
Well, Robin was in her shorts after a while.
Robin, I mean, I just, every time I saw her, I was like, you're like a walking advertisement for hypothermia here. She's tougher than me, which, I mean, again, the bar is not high, but, yeah, that was really exciting. And I hope we see more. I know there's problems like in Super Enduro for Taddy racing the Stark. They did get some Starks into the Arena Cross National Series in the UK. I'm not sure what's happening in terms of hard enduro and enduro over in Europe with Stark. It's something I want to learn more about, and I look forward to seeing more of it in enduro and sprint enduro, especially races I'm at, because it's super cool.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I don't know. Anything else we've missed? I think we've done a reasonably good job here.
Yeah, I think we're doing all right. I can't think of anything else.
I know you could keep going, Jared, because I think you just drank a coffee and it's like 9 o'clock.
I drank 2 coffees.
Jesus. What the fuck?
We're both like the type of people that could drink coffee at like midnight, and it just does not affect us like it would a normal person. I could sleep right after.
I used to be that person. Immunity. Yeah, I used to be that, but now I'm 53.
So is it an age thing or what?
I don't know. I'm just weak, I guess. But yeah, I could. I would kill. I would be in trouble. Maybe I wouldn't. I just watch a lot of Netflix or something. But
yeah.
Well, look, it was friggin' awesome seeing you guys over the last month at races, and it was even more awesome getting the ball rolling on the podcast. I'm super stoked. We got some good guests that are in the pipeline here, and I'm really looking forward to it and keeping the ball rolling and get the momentum back going after we've had to mind the gap here. Yeah, I know you guys are busy now between races, so I mean, whatever. It's all like nap times and cuddles, I'm sure.
I literally am going to go rebuild a wheel right after this for a customer.
And I'm going to work on the series and add some more information to our website and get that stuff rolling.
I'm not going to lie. I'm going to edit some video from the weekend and have that ready to go up on YouTube tomorrow morning. So
I love it. See, we're just nonstop. But before
idiots.
I leave,
oh no,
I got to say my
Courtney's
thanks.
Pregnant.
Oh.
No.
Who told you?
What? You're scaring me. I should go check. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
We do not have time for that right now.
No one's got time for that ever.
I wish you wouldn't even have put that out to the world.
Knock on
Take it
wood.
back.
Knock on wood.
Yeah.
Courtney, for the record, is not pregnant.
No, get that out of there.
I retract the comment.
But what were you gonna say?
I just wanted to really have a huge shout out to all the people helping us make this thing a go. From the bottom of my heart, like, you know, you, Courtney, Noel for the media side of things, all of our sponsors of the series, our good friend Chris Grosnick and Kevin Barrett have been taking like Mondays and Fridays off to be out there a day ahead of time as employees that get paid the least you'll ever make, but they're still there charging. I just can't believe the efforts that so many people are putting into it. So there's not enough times I can take the time to say thank you and to everybody, and it's just been going so good.
Like everyone, there's just so many that it's hard to thank.
The families, the Cuthbertsons,
all the
the Roberts,
the Wyatts, our cousins, and Robin last weekend, like just everyone, all the people who we have our races at on their land, and just everything. You guys know who you are, and it doesn't go unnoticed, obviously, and it couldn't be possible without everyone there doing it. And all the little things go such a long way.
It goes back to what I said just a few minutes ago. Like, this is how legacies are built. This is how the sport grows. And this is how Canada becomes even better on the international stage in the off-road racing world. It does. True. All joking aside, it takes a village, and people are out there killing it to move the sport forward. And again, insane. Like, I'm so appreciative of it from my side too, because I see it happening. Like, the difference from last year to this year is great, and the difference next year will be even better.
Yeah.
So congrats to all the volunteers and all the people who take away time to do that, whether it's for your series or any series across the country, because it's built on the backbone of volunteerism.
And the day of people too, like our sweepers and our timing system, all you guys. Thank you.
Excellent. So we'll wrap up. Courtney, you still coming to Calgary?
Yes, we have a breakfast meeting. I'll drop my van off at the Mercedes Country Hills in the morning Friday. That
sounded pretty snooty. I'll drop my van off at the Mercedes dealer.
Just to be fair, it's old 2016. And
what's
King of the Castle?
What's up? What's up, G Daddy? Yo.
And you know what? That van, in my defense, I wanted something with extra, what's the word?
Fuel efficiency.
Not fuel efficiency, but just like protective.
You know what? I can see you blushing through the camera. So
you guys are embarrassing me. I didn't mean to say it like that.
All right. Well, hey, have a good night, guys. It was awesome getting started again. And to everyone who listens, thank you. We appreciate it too. And it just some of the feedback we've got has been really good, and we appreciate that too, and helps us keep going and be motivated. So thanks to all the listeners, or the listener, however many of you there are. And,
we appreciate it.
Yeah, stay tuned. We're trying to be more awesome all the time. All right.